What's going on, everybody? It is the Nicholas Bersakis Chelsea Football Channel. Welcome back today for the match preview for Chelsea versus Heidenheim. So back in the Conference League, a game that may or may not. I put it as probably the most difficult game that Chelsea will have in this entire. I can't say competition. I mean, it could be competition, but I think it'll be the most difficult game out of the entire six-game group that we've had. Of course, I think we have only one more home game, and I think that's the one against Shamrock Rovers for the Conference League. We play two in a row away from home, and then I think our last game in the Conference League is a game back at the Bridge. But Heidenheim in this one are 15th in the German Bundesliga, so they are in a top five league. I think that's the first time I played a top five league team in the Conference League. Yes, it is. I'm almost certain it is. I can't think of off the top of my head anybody else. Yeah, I'm almost certain it's a top five league, but we are playing somebody from a reputable competition. Of course, as some people may know, Roger Schmidt, their head coach, and then former player for Heidenheim. But the thing is, Roger Schmidt has led this team through the leagues of Heidenheim throughout the last, I think, what is it? It's been at least, I think it's like 8 years or something. He went from, I think, the fourth tier all the way up now to the first tier. And last season, they did so well in their first season, they earned themselves Conference League football. So they've been brilliant last season. This season, they're in 15th place, and they've, I think, lost their last 7 games. They've been brilliant in the Conference League. They haven't lost a game, but they've been pretty damn poor in the league this season, they're being sitting in 15th place. So in this one, their league form, of course, like we've been saying, has been poor, but you can't count them out because they've been so good in the Conference League. But getting more to Chelsea, that's enough about Heidenheim. That's about the only knowledge I know about Heidenheim in this one. Just they're a really good feel-good story. So in this one, what's the important ones factors we need to know about? Of course, you have your guys that aren't going to be playing, guys like Romeo Lavia. We don't have any information on Reece James yet, but he wouldn't be playing in this game probably anyway. Wesley Fofana obviously will be in. I think Levi Colville probably won't play. Cole Palmer obviously won't be playing. Who else? Anybody else that we aren't involved in the registration? I can't think of anybody else who's not involved in the registration. I think that's it, unless I'm missing somebody. But I think that's it. Oh, Caicedo. Caicedo won't be involved either. But that's not. Those are the guaranteed ones. Those are the ones we already knew going into this one that probably wouldn't be involved in this one. So when we look forward into this game, what can we expect? I think we're going to see a full rotation, full 11 switch. Obviously, we're going to see it from the front to back. Is there a chance that we could see some surprising additions like we saw in the previous one? Tyree George, of course, got involved in the Noah game. Is there a chance we might see him again? I don't know. There's a chance we could see him involved in this one again. I think he'll be on the bench. There's a chance we could see someone like Raksaki on the bench again. If I had to guess, I think they'd be the only two players in this one from the youth academy team. However, that doesn't discredit the fact that we should be seeing a guy like Josh Achiampong. Josh Achiampong, in my opinion, needs to sign that contract. He needs to sign it. Get the deal done. Because in a game like this, he needs to be playing. In a game, especially when Reece James is injured, in a game that he's injured and probably out for, if I had to say, 6 to 8 weeks, at this point, what can I expect? He already wished us a happy festive period. So at this point, he needs to be playing in these Conference League games for his development. It's perfect for him. I think everything came out recently today that he would now be willing to play for Strasbourg. That he didn't want to do that at first, but now he said he'd be willing to do it for a pathway into the team. So it could be a positive thing. Maybe, maybe not. But as long as we sign the contract, so many big teams around Europe are willing to go get this guy. We need to be willing to give this guy a bigger deal. So that needs to be the first order of business, I would say, is get this guy a deal and get this guy in the starting lineup in these Conference League games because he needs to get his playing time. Also, Malo Gusto is in full team training. That also came out today. So that's really good news as well. We didn't know how severe his injury was or whatever he had. I think it was his illness, but I think he's back from that illness now. So what are some other things we think we can be seeing in this one? I think maybe there's a good chance we could be seeing Badiashile. I have him listed in my lineup, but we'll show that right now. So this is the team I've gone for. Jorgensen, Vega, Badiashile, Tosin, Disasi, Drewsbury Hall, Kayasede, Mudryk, Felix, Sancho, and Christo and Kuku up top. So the major things you're probably looking at this lineup and saying is, why is Disasi play at right back again? Why is Kayasede starting? Why maybe is Sancho starting? I think that's about it. So the first thing I say about this, I'm going to describe it one by one as I get through this team. We're going to just talk about the position by position first. So Jorgensen gets in net. He's the Cub goalie. He's been listed as that. There's a good chance, in my opinion, I think he'll maybe get, I think I said in the video, I think he's going to get stepped up in that first spot. I think he'll be our starting goalie eventually throughout the next few weeks. But right now, he needs to prove it more on these cup games. And so far in the cup games, he hasn't had enough to be showing it. So hopefully he can show it here in this one. Vega at left back, he's been brilliant in the cup games he's had to be playing in. Of course, the one against Newcastle, he wasn't very good. But I'd love to see more playing out of him in this one. So he's going to start at left back. He's been brilliant so far throughout the year. Badiashile plays a back-to-back game. I still obviously don't think he's been good enough in the league, especially one good game against Leicester isn't good enough for him to get consistent playing time in the league. Especially when we have Gusto coming back. I definitely see him rotating still back into the center back pairing in the Conference League. Tosin, obviously, he plays at center back. He's basically a Conference League player too as well. So he's been pretty solid, though, as a filler player. So I'm fine with him also playing here in the Conference League. DCC, I have playing at right back instead of Malo. There's obviously a really good chance we could just end up seeing Malo play 2 games in a row. Will he do it? I'm not so sure. It depends on how he feels Gusto's fitness is. Because, of course, as off an illness, you might be a little bit more tired. So I would say that DCC gets another start. Of course, there's a chance that we might just see Tosin and DCC play at center back and Gusto play right back. That's a shout, but I think this is a we'll see this more because then Vega can invert here into this midfield and take up Casade's spot. I think there's a good chance that we might see that instead. I see Dewsbury Hall because he needs the playing time. He hasn't got enough of it. He looks we've called this guy Danny Drinkwater for a reason so far. He hasn't played. He necessarily hasn't played that great in the games he's played in the Conference League. He's been that's all he's played in. He got subbed in that Leicester game and really didn't do a whole lot. So it's very hard to give him some kind of grade, I guess, in a way because he barely played. Casade, I think that we won't see Enzo. I don't think because again, some of the Enzo and Caicedo, in my opinion, need a break. These guys have not only just gotten back from their 14-hour flight in South America to come back to UK and immediately play a game. Both played great. Don't get them wrong, but they need a break. And so I think Casade, who's been pretty solid in the conference, I think giving him another start is a good one. Mudryk on the left, he's been brilliant in these cup games and showing a bit more flashes in the Premier League games. I think that he needs another start on the left-hand side. I think the more games he plays in this Conference League, we might see him grow more into the Premier League starting lineup. And I don't think it's set in stone in the fact that he's definitely not out of Premier League contention. I definitely think there's a good chance we might be able to see him in Premier League contention sooner or later. Joao Felix, I think that he's going to get another start. I think that on the weekend we'll see a different lineup. I think Joao Felix will start once again in the middle. Jadon Sancho, I think, is going to get the starting playing time in the Conference League because we haven't seen enough playing time out of him recently. So that's my reason behind Sancho starting. But again, it could be a possibility we see Tyreek George once again start because he played pretty well in that fixture against Noah last time. But again, anybody could have probably played good against Noah last time. And Christo Nkunku, he's our bench striker in a way. Could maybe be Mark Guiu as well, but I think it's going to probably be Christo Nkunku again. I don't see a way that his position up top is thwarted. He's got the most goals on the team still this season. So again, I don't see a way that it gets changed around. So, what is the main takeaway for this game? What do we want to see? Now, the first thing I want to see is I want to see a clean sheet out of this team. We need a clean sheet. The more consistency we can get at the back this season, even if it's in cup games and it's with players that aren't playing in the Premier League, just the fact that you could show that the defense can be solid even with players that don't start Premier League games, I think it's really, really, really impressive and it's really, really needed. So I think that's the first order of business. So first thing, clean sheet. Second thing, Nkunku needs to keep showing quality in the Conference League. Now, in games recently, Nkunku has been good, but he hasn't been great. Of course, it's hard to say that when he has 10 goals, but the thing is about these 10 goals is that a few of them have been penalties, and a few, of course, in the bad opponents, you're going to get scrappy goals. In the game you saw against Noah, he got a penalty, and he got that weird saves / put back goal. So Nkunku needs to show a bit more consistency and a bit more presence in these games in the conference league. So that's the second thing. The third thing I need to see is I need to see Dewsbury Hall do more. Dewsbury Hall was a £30 million signing from Leicester. He was, I think, championship player of the season for Leicester, a brilliant player in the league below us, but in the league now in the Premier League, he needs to show his quality more. And I mean, dude, if you're gonna try and get playing time in the Premier League, showing games in the Conference League again is the best way you possibly can. So he needs to show more in this game, and he needs to show why he's better than this competition. It's that simple. Fourth thing, academy graduates need to be involved in this game. I would love to see Tyreek George more involved in this one. I would love to see Roxaki involved again. And for why not? Why not play somebody else? If we're winning by quite a bit, maybe have somebody else involved. Like I've already said, Josh Achiampong needed to be involved in this lineup, but he's not going to be involved, of course, because there's no contract signing. So it really comes down to Roxaki and really comes down to Tyreek George. And honestly, it really only needs to be Tyreek George. He needs to get this more consistent play. And the last thing, I think the last thing that needs to be involved is is it? I think that Jorgensen is the last one. I think Jorgensen needs to prove. I think if he gets big save opportunities, he needs to take those opportunities and he needs to make those big saves and make an impression on Maresca. I think that's the main thing is he needs to make an impression on Maresca and he needs to make the decision harder for him in the Premier League this season. So I think that's the first, the second, or the last major thing. Overall, what do I think for the team? What do we think? We're going to Germany in their 20 something thousand capacity stadium. I'm gonna say Chelsea come out 3-0 winners. I think we're gonna convert our chances. I think we're gonna get a clean sheet. So I think 3-0 winners on the day. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you very much for watching. See you guys in the next one. Peace.